Hello and welcome back. It's Miss Darling in the studio. It's very, very hot here in the summer, and so I do have a few fans running in the room. So if there's a little bit extra background noise, I do apologize, but I need to be cool as I work. So today I'm going to be talking about recycling scarves. Things that you've had in a drawer for years and never done anything with. They've gone out of style, as are these little bungee things that we used to wear on our ponytails. And so I grabbed this because it looks very vintage, and I thought, I can certainly use something like this in a journal somewhere along the line. So I'm taking it apart, which winds up being cutting a bunch of little elastic cords down here and just kind of pulling it away from the hair clasp. And then we'll see what we can do with it for our junk journal project. Come on. Cut. Thank you. Okay. We have lift off. I'll get rid of all of those elastic things. It's tied here in the middle. And we have a long, narrow scarf. This could be really cool, I think. And it was a total waste in my drawer. I've had this for many years. Well, back when this type of thing was popular fashion-wise, so you can imagine how old it is. I guess I should really take some time and iron it. Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to do that. Oftentimes you can glue something down and get all your wrinkles out just by gluing it, but I'm planning quite a bit of a different process, and so I don't think that's going to work. So let me go get my iron and we will proceed with making it more suitable. I'll be right back. Okay, here I am back. I have press this, and look at what a beautiful pattern I discovered was on this thing. You didn't even know it had such a nice pattern. It was all scrunched up into a head ornament, and so I'm really pleased to see what it is. And so now I'm going to take this heat bond light sewable iron-on adhesive. I got this from Amazon. It's 1.25 yards long, and I'm going to cut this into a strip about, I don't know, about 5.5 inches wide, which will be wide enough to for me to use with my strip of fabric here. You can see. Well, I can see that if I just maybe cut right along this fold line, that's going to be just a little bit wider than my scarf here. So I've cut my strip now, and I went down about that far, and so I'm going to now use my iron, and I put the underside of the fabric on top of the adhesive part of this binding. Well, it was called interfacing that I was told, but I don't see the word interface on the packaging, but that may be what it is. So I'm going to just use my little clamps here to sort of hold this fabric in place, so when I go to iron it on, it doesn't shift and go lopsided on me. Okay, that takes me down to a good stopping point on the fabric. I'm going to stop it about right here. And then I have all this I can do with on another strip if I choose, or you know, do something even completely different from that with the rest of the scarf. I do have other scarves here, but this one seemed like the best pattern for a potential junk journal that I might do at some point. I'm not going to be able to show you pressing this with the iron because I can't get the iron over here to where I'm filming. So I'll just be doing that. It'll take me a few minutes and I will be back when I'm done. Okay, I put a cotton towel, a lightweight, you know, dish towel type of, you know, just real thin dish towel on top, and moved my iron setting up to hot, and then just spent, I would say, maybe 30 to 60 seconds in each spot, all the way down as far as my adhesive goes. And so then when you, if you do it correctly, the adhesive comes off of the backing sheet and onto your fabric. Then it's a simple matter of deciding what you want to adhere the fabric to. You might want to adhere it to another piece of fabric for your journal, or you may want to adhere this now to a piece, you know, a long strip of paper, so that then it will have more sturdiness. Since I don't know yet what I'm going to do with this, I think maybe I will leave it attached to the backing sheet until I do, and then just kind of cut my scarf here where the backing sheet ends and separate them. I hope I don't regret doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, so now I have this remnant that I can glue this or adhere it to another backing sheet or do something else with it. I will make that decision at another time. And here we have this. So I think, you know, if these were cut in half lengthwise, this could make a very attractive side tuck or a belly band for a journal. I could use it as decoration on the cover of something. Let's see how wide my pattern goes here. From there to there, we've got just shy of 8 inches. So, and then over here we've got almost 9 inches. 9 inches. Well, I got about 18 inches overall from end to end, and so that gives me quite a bit that I can play around with and figure out how I want to use it. I can see that this did not adhere properly down here. I don't know why. Maybe I just didn't iron it long enough, or I didn't quite get to the edge. So I'm going to lift that up and go back and reheat it and see if I can't get the adhesive over in that corner as well. Oh, that's where I started from, so I did not start it properly. So, okay, that's it for this section. So now, I hope you understand, you wind up with adhesive on the back of the fabric, and then when you put this down on either other fabric or a piece of paper, you're going to take your iron on a very hot setting with a cloth over it and heat it once again with the iron, and then that's going to melt the adhesive here and bind the fabric to whatever substrate you decide to use, whether it's another piece of fabric or a piece of paper. Okay, so that's how it works. We got the adhesive onto the scarf. Now we'll transfer that and bind it to a piece of fabric or a piece of paper. And then we can do whatever we want to with it, and it's going to be quite secure. And it's a way to totally recycle a scarf that was unappreciated. It had been in one of my drawers forever and ever, and because it was all scrunched up, I was only looking at color. I had no idea that it had such a nice pattern and design on it. So I'm really happy to find that. And now I'll talk real briefly about giving you some ideas. For instance, here's a really large scarf I have that's got a really large, bold print on it. You see this really nice ornate design here that could be salvaged. This is big enough and wide enough that you could transfer this onto for instance, a piece of fabric that's large enough to be a cover for an entire journal. You know, the front, the spine, and the back. And wouldn't that be bold? So, you know, you need to decide what you're going to do with it based on the pattern itself and how big it is as to how you can use it. Now, here's a scarf that I made for myself several years ago. I've never even worn it, but I had liked the fabric at the time, and you see that this very much gives the idea or the feeling of collage, just the way the pattern is done. So this could make a really nice transfer, maybe onto some lightweight fabric. And I think I would consider doing this large so that I could cover an entire journal, front to back, including the spine. I also picked this up, but now that I've done the other one, I'm going to not try to do anything with this, at least not in this particular manner, because I'm quite sure that if I put a hot iron on here, that would melt whatever adhesive is holding those little, I don't know, little rhinestones and I don't know what you call those. They're not buttons, but anyway, that's going to lift that right off if I put heat to this. So this is a no-no. But I think you get the idea, and you just have to look through your scarves, pick out things that you know you're never ever going to wear, but that you think could translate nicely over into a junk journal or something that is used in a journal. It doesn't have to be a cover. It could be something like this that will be used for smaller ephemera, and just recycle those, because if they're just sitting in your drawer year after year after year, you might, if you're not careful, a moth will get at them and eat them, and eventually if fabric gets old enough, it starts to come apart easily, and so might as well recycle it before deterioration prevents you from doing anything at all with it. So here are a few other examples which I'm going to make next, and I'll show you in a minute how they turned out. This would be great for a boho journal. This one, just, feminine, maybe, vintage journal. And then we've got this leopard, simulated leopard here from some silk type fabric. So we're going to give them a new life. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I adhered the scarf fabric to the adhesive, and then adhered that to a piece of muslin, and now I'm just cutting away the excess. It takes a little bit of time and effort, but I think it's well worth it, particularly if you can already think of how you'd want to use it in an upcoming craft project. I don't know how I will be using mine, but I know because of the color schemes that are very similar to the type of thing I will do occasionally, I know I will find a use for them. My biggest problem will be remembering that I made them. So there's that. Okay. So this was just a scrap. I tore it off from a piece of fabric, and it was not even, and so I did not get the full width down here that I got up here. But I can make this into a vertical band, cut it down a little bit, make a vertical band. I can do a horizontal band. I could do a pocket. I could use it as something to go on a cover in some way, along with something else. It has many possibilities, and a good way to kind of use up fabric that's just sitting around here in my home doing no one any good whatsoever. So now here was my second one, and I did my this is not muslin, but it's some sort of white, almost canvas-like fabric that I found here. I don't know who it had originally belonged to. Anyway, it wasn't long enough to go the whole distance, so I had to splice. But you see, that doesn't matter because it doesn't show on the front that there's two pieces of fabric back there. And once I trim away the excess, I'm going to trim out here, even though my adhesive does not go out to the edge. But, just for now, I'm going to trim it down out here, and then figure out later on when I'm making a journal that has similar color palette, I will have something to use in it that's really unique and different and give new life to this scarf fabric. This also was not a finished scarf. I think it was some fabric that maybe Swoop had purchased at one time and didn't do anything with. Probably got it to make a costume from when she was performing in the olden days. She would get mad if she heard me refer to them as olden. I don't know if you know about it, but Swoop was quite a musician and singer and dancer, and she performed clubs around the LA, Orange County area, did a 3-month tour in China back before things started to get hostile, thank goodness. So there's that. You know, now this really flimsy, lightweight fabric has a stiff backing and can be used in a number of different ways, yet to be discovered. And lastly, we have my boho. This was actually a scarf I had made for myself several years ago and never wore it, never did anything with it. So hopefully now it can perhaps one day wind up, I'm thinking boho, but you know, a journal that would have a similar color palette and be, you know, bright and bold like these colors are. This one I had to piece together at the end because I didn't have enough of the white fabric in one piece to go the length. And I don't know if I'll ever need anything this long, but if I do, I now have it. So long as I remember it's here. I think that's real pretty. I think that could make a really great statement of some kind. Maybe use it in addition to something else on a cover, or could make some tags out of it. Vertical bands, horizontal bands, pockets, or even cut some of it down to go in clusters. And there we go. So we have, let me clear away some of this debris. And we have these three plus the original ones that I made from a hair clasp. Who knew that was hiding? It was all bunched up, you know, made to look kind of foo-foo, flowery, and attached to a hair clip. And now it will wind up in a journal somewhere, probably in the not too distant future. So, go through your drawers and pull out all the scarves you no longer wear and see what you can do with yours. and have fun. This is Miss Starling calling this a wrap.